Hello plant lovers, it is Matthew in Melbourne welcoming you back to my channel. Thank you very much for finding me. If you're new here, I grow cold, cool, intermediate orchids here in Melbourne, Australia, without a greenhouse or humidifiers or grow lights, just me and them, inside or outside or not at all. So plant lovers of the world, if that sounds like your bag, if you grow similar orchids, do come along for the journey and watch my amateur ramblings as I figure out how to grow these things in my climate, which can be quite difficult. And that quite cunningly brings us to the subject of today's video, which is not this beautiful orchid. I will tell you what this is. It is, well, it goes under many names, and it is Bifrenaria aureofolva, which this label doesn't say. It's one of those orchids that mooches around from taxonomy to taxonomy, but I have made a video about this before, which I'll link below. It's just that this year I've got 3 spikes. Last year I had 1. But plant lovers, this is not the subject of my tale today. No. The subject of my tale today is the point I made a few moments ago, which is it's quite hard to find information about growing orchids in this particular environment here in Melbourne in Australia. So when I was trying to find information, it was really hard. There's American sites and there's British sites, but in Australia, most orchid growers tend to be in the tropical parts of the northern part of the country. Doesn't bear much relevance for me here in Melbourne. So imagine my delight about a year ago when I stumbled across an Instagram account called Ally's Orchids in Melbourne, and Ally was clearly growing amazing orchids here in Melbourne. So we became Instagram friends. And the more I saw the orchids that Ally was posting, the more I thought, goodness me, whoever this Ally is knows their stuff. So we kind of, communicated. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I think I need to meet Ally and find out what is going on, how they grow such amazing orchids, and just what the story is. Because it's rare to find someone growing orchids in Melbourne in my conditions that you can kind of share war stories with. So plant lovers, we are not going to look at this orchid today. Oh no, we are going on a very special visit to meet Ally herself of Ally's Orchids. Now I will link her Instagram account below so you can follow her beautiful growing adventure. And it was wonderful to go and meet her. She very generously opened her home. So we're able to go and see exactly how she grows her orchids, which are indoors or outdoors, just like me. And she also doesn't have any equipment except one little humidifier, which we'll forgive her and we do talk about. Join me now as we go and visit Ally's Orchids in her house and talk about all things orchid growing. Ally, it is so lovely to meet you.
And such a pleasure to meet you as well.
And
big fan.
Thank you very much for opening your house to us all today. I think, so as I explained before, we found each other on Instagram, and the thing that struck me was that Ally is growing incredibly similar orchids to me in Melbourne, which we have both just discussed is a really tricky environment.
The conditions keep changing. You never really know if it's going to be a nice day or a bad day, hot or cold.
Yeah.
So yes, you need to adapt to it.
You do indeed. And so we then were contacting each other, and here we are, because I was just so curious to see how you're growing things, the way that you're configuring your space and your orchid journey. So let's start with that, because we've discovered we've got a very similar narrative arc. So when did you start growing orchids? It looks to me like you're the most extraordinary lifetime expert.
So in fact, not at all. Complete amateur here.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, I was really just interested in phals and the common types of orchid that you find in shops and florists and supermarkets. And then little by little, I started discovering other also common types like oncidiums.
Yeah.
And then I went to Garden World and the range expanded to Vandas and some Cattleyas. And that was the floodgates opening. But the real change was the lockdown. And during lockdown in Melbourne, there was not a whole lot to do. No. And so I got extremely carried away and bought a lot of plants online.
Me too. So this is the funny thing. We have basically the same arc. So before COVID, I was very much into gardening and plants. I had a few Australian orchids. And then during lockdown, I don't know, I can't even remember what the catalyst was, but suddenly I was buying orchids every week.
Yeah, it's an addiction.
Isn't it? And they become very needy children.
Oh, absolutely. It's very hard to keep down a full-time job and orchids.
Yes, so this is what else we were just discussing, which is why we both have crinkly leaves on our oncidiums, which makes me feel very relieved. Well, I think, Ali, if you don't mind, what we might do, I think one of the things that people find useful and interesting is just to see literally where people are growing things, because it's all very well to say bright indirect light. But what does that mean? Yeah. And I don't know about you, but when I started, I found it impossible to try and find relevant information, which is why I actually started making videos. Did you find it hard?
I had the exact same problem. So the information sheet saying bright filtered light with diffused, no direct sun. I mean, all of this is very confusing.
What does that mean? Show me physically.
Exactly. I just wanted to know where in my house does the plant need to go to survive and to flower. So there was a lot of experimentation, trial and error. A lot of plants died, I'm not going to lie.
I'm here to say the same. We were just looking at Ali has a dish of death with all the tags of her orchids that didn't make it.
Yeah.
I have so many that I have to throw them away. But you actually record your death list.
I do. I have a death list. It's a very depressing one. Thankfully, it's shorter than the ones that survive, but yes, it's still there.
There you go. Well, it's a bold move. Well, I think let's go and have a look. Let's break down your fabulously light, brilliant for orchid growing house into areas and just show people what you're growing where.
Sounds great.
Excellent. Ali, we're under your staircase. So spot number one, the first thing is orientation. Yep. So that is due south.
Correct.
And this is due north.
Yep.
Now we're in the southern hemisphere, so obviously due north is the lightest aspect. If you're in the northern hemisphere, obviously it will be the reverse, it will be south. So this is where you're getting the most of your light. And this is so bright, it's incredible. Now, what are you growing down here?
Yeah, so this is definitely the sunniest growing area for the orchids.
Yeah.
So it's mostly morning and sort of midday sun.
Yeah.
And so Cattleyas.
Exhibit A, Cattleya. And this one is, oh my goodness, I've just snapped your tag. Cattleya Tropical Trick.
Oh, yes, that's
which I'll leave that in there so you know.
And that one does flower.
Yes. I don't have much luck with Cattleyas, I'm here to say. Do you?
No.
I'm glad to hear it. Well, I'm not, but I am.
Definitely a struggle for me. It's just finding that balance between light, too much light, keeping up with the watering.
Yes.
And then even when they do start flowering, for the flower bud to not fall off.
Yes, I'm here to tell you, I flowered Cattleya maxima, which is the most beautiful species orchid. It was a division. I don't think it was particularly in good condition. And I think the flower was its last attempt to survive and procreate. It immediately died. And I've got a ton of Cattleyas like you. I have one at the moment that's got a sheath, but I've had that orchid for 5 years. It's sheathed before, and then the whole stem died because it rotted. Yeah. Oh. I don't know, maybe it's just Melbourne. Maybe we are just destined never to do well with Cattleyas. But you did say there is one that is a reliable flower for you.
Yes. So this one, Cattleya no name, that was bought in Garden World.
Yes.
Flowers reliably every year, huge blooms.
And you can see the sheath there, so you're going to get a bloom soonish. And actually, fantastic new growth coming out there as well. So Cattleya no ID.
Yep.
Is the champion.
So another winner here is this little guy, which is Renanthera monachica.
Yes.
And this flowers very reliably, beautiful flowers.
Yeah. And these, now I grow, do I have Renanthera? Maybe I've killed mine. So is yours indoors all year?
Yes.
And all your Cattleyas are indoors all year?
Yes. I tried them outdoors once. And unfortunately, slugs started eating all the different bits, including the new stem, so they had to come back in.
Right, interesting. Because there are, sorry, that didn't go there. There are a lot of growers in Melbourne who do swear by growing Cattleyas outdoors all year, undercover, so they're protected, but they do get nighttime winter minimums.
Yeah.
I don't know. The jury's out for me. Obviously, you've decided that doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
I am unsure, but I may have just about given up with Cattleyas, and I'm just going to leave mine outside, and if they make it, they make it, and if they don't, I almost can't be bothered anymore.
See what happens. leave them to their own devices.
But now there is one other orchid that we share, and we have a similar experience. It's also in a terracotta pot, and this is, I don't want to break your tag again. This is Chysis. Oh, yours is different. Chysis limminghei. Oh goodness, I can't pronounce that. Anyway, we'll drop the tag in. Now, I got so excited because mine was a few years old and mine developed a flower spike.
And I got very excited when mine did the exact same thing, and I thought, this is it. I'm finally getting a flower.
I cracked it. What happened?
And then just about when it got to this stage and you could see the buds forming, it died.
Mine too. The bud blasted. Now, I think that this is not about us being poor orchid growers, but that in Melbourne, it was an Arctic, literally a winter period of about 5 days where the temperatures plummeted.
It did.
That's when mine was at this point, and that's when mine died as well.
Yeah, it was very disappointing. I was heartbroken.
Yeah, me too. But the plant looks fantastically healthy. Does there come a point when you just think, oh, that's it?
Yes.
I'm not going to try anymore.
Yes, I usually, so if a plant will grow maybe 2 years and still not flower and it's a mature plant, I start thinking about whether the space is better used for something else.
Right, off to the compost heap you go.
Exactly.
So essentially then, this is all light-loving Cattleya types.
Yes, and some Dendrobiums.
Dendrobiums. Now the other thing, and we'll show footage of that, is that you have got cork-mounted plants inside in a room that is not like a growing room. So it's got floorboards and painted walls. How do you manage practically?
So it takes a lot of time. I will actually take those to the sink and water them every day. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm not going there. But where we are going, I think now, is outside, because I want to show everyone your outdoor space. Again, I'm very envious because it is so bright and beautiful. So let's go look at that space and what you can grow out there.
Perfect.
Okay, we are outside. So the first observation is no cover.
Nope, no cover at all.
Rain.
They're out in the elements.
Rain, wind, temperatures. Wow.
They're tougher than you'd think.
You heard it here. So to give you context, viewers, again, this is north facing. So it's a north facing courtyard garden. Obviously, again, we're in the southern hemisphere, which means this is sun drenched. If you're in the northern hemisphere, it would be the equivalent of a south facing courtyard. The thing that I am gobsmacked about is your Vandas just swinging in the breeze. Can I unhook that one?
Of course.
And look at that flower spike. So contextualize, it's really hard, particularly for American viewers. We don't have a zonal system in Australia. So we, I guess our climatic conditions are based about extremes of heat and drought rather than coldness. So Melbourne can either be described as a warm temperate or a wet Mediterranean climate. So our winters don't freeze, but they can get close, and we can have hot, dry summers. Not tropical.
Exactly.
Exhibit A though. So tell me your Vanda secret.
So this, again, it was a lot of trial and error here, but in winter, they're kept indoors when the temperatures are low, and then in summer, they come out.
Still in the baskets, so you don't put them in baskets. Wow. So let's talk about watering inside, because this is my thing, that I don't want to have something like this inside because it will drip, and how do you, just the practicality of it. So how do you deal with that?
It's a huge amount of effort, to be honest.
You're a very committed orchid grower, Ally.
So every day, each one of these baskets will get dunked in a very large bucket of water.
Every day?
Yes.
You're more committed than I.
But for more than half the year, they're outdoors.
Right. And then you just hose them when they're outdoors?
Yeah, we actually have a watering system as of just a few months ago, so this is quite a big deal. So they'll get watered for 15 minutes each day.
Right, okay. And do you obviously liquid feed them?
I
obviously.
should.
Is that a no?
I should probably do it more than I do. Maybe once every couple of months, but no more than that.
Oh, right. So this is interesting, because a lot of Vanda growers say that the trick is constant liquid feeding.
Maybe I should try that more then.
I don't know. I have no. Look at the size of this. How big was this plant when you bought it?
Well, Vandas grow extremely slowly. So I think since I got it, it's only grown maybe 3 leaves.
Right.
So it was already very mature.
Mature plant. Was this from Collector's Corner?
Yes.
I'll put the link below where Ally bought these. I've bought a few things there, and I've actually made a video about Phalaenopsis there, which I'll link. They do have amazing Vandas. I always look at them. They have this beautiful, misty, humid, hot house.
Jungle.
There's always Vandas in bloom, and I look at them hanging and think, oh no. But look, so you've got yours to rebloom.
Yep.
How often?
So some are more temperamental than others.
Yeah.
This is the first time it's reblooming.
And do we know what the name of this one is?
This is a denisoniana.
Right, okay, excellent.
So it's yellow flowers with a little white in the middle.
Yeah. And is that relatively easy maintenance-wise?
Yeah, very, very easy.
And if I lift this one, which has the juiciest flower spike, look at that. Which one is this?
Oh, I've forgotten the name of that one.
That's all right.
I'll tell you afterwards. But this one is bluey purple blotched flowers. It's an absolute stunner.
Right. The root systems are incredibly healthy. There's all these amazing active growing root tips there. And you've just got them hanging suspended in baskets with no medium whatsoever.
Yep.
Well, I'm very envious, and I just don't think I could commit. But I'm experimenting with Vandas in vessels, in very, very, very loose medium. And at Collector's Corner, I saw some that were outdoors all year, undercover, that bloomed incredibly well. So watch this space. Maybe in 4 years, when they've grown 3 leaves, we can compare and contrast. But that looks amazing.
This one is possibly the most awkward and stubborn Vanda that I have.
But
it's got great growth. It's got beautiful leaves, a massive root system.
goodness me.
You would expect it to do incredibly well and better than all the other ones. And yet this one has never flowered.
So this is the best grower, the best root growth, the happiest, the most vigorous, never a bloom.
Yes.
How long have you had it for?
4 years.
Okay.
It's very close to ending up in the corridor of doom.
Oh my goodness! But there's new leaves growing. No! Save it from the corridor of doom. Well, I'm in awe of all your Vandas, Ally. So what else is on this northern wall? So there is your neighbour's tree, which is deciduous.
No, this one is evergreen.
Oh right.
Well, that one is the pear tree.
The pear tree is deciduous.
Yeah.
But you get no direct light, no direct sunlight here.
Not really,
very little.
just a little bit of mottled sun.
But it's very bright and exposed. So we've got Vandas. What else is growing here?
So we've got a few small Australian natives, like this Dendrobium linguiforme.
Wow, and that is the most extraordinary leaf. It actually looks and feels like a succulent leaf. And how does that do for you?
It does great. So
it's
this
very moist,
one, probably too moist, but it grows very well and it flowers really well as well.
And what do the flowers look like? I think there's a picture there. You can kind of see white, feathery.
White, very small, quite stringy. They don't last that long, but they're good while they're there.
Looks stunning. I don't know where that went. Now, the other thing I see lurking here is Legislite, Dendrobium legislite. I made a video about mine, which I'll link. You know, mine had 1 flower this year. Did yours bloom?
Yes, this one bloomed. It actually bloomed better this year than last year. And I think it might be because I gave it a really good rest in winter. I basically didn't water it at all.
But it got rained on.
Yes.
So mine, I think, I don't know about you, I find it very hard to withhold love.
Oh, me too.
So I know Legislite really needs the dry rest in winter, well, late autumn, early winter, to promote flowers. And I think I was just over generous with my watering because it has grown gangbusters. And this is the type of orchid that it develops mad cakeys. And when I first was growing it, I thought, oh my goodness, I've made some terrible mistake. It's just cakey madness.
I thought that as well.
And then I saw pictures of the mature plants and they are a ball of cakeys and stems and everything blooms. But yours looks gorgeous. Tough love. I'm going to have to neglect mine more. But that's a beauty. And the flowers are stunning when it's out.
They are, yeah.
And now, with the cunning brilliance of technology, we'll swing over here. So what's on this shelving system? I can see Masdevallia.
Yeah, so a lot of Masdevallias. There's also a few Sarcochylum.
Okay, and this one,
Sarcochylus.
This is Masdevallia Rein Touch Beenak Beauty. And Mount Beenak is a great grower of Masdevallia here in Victoria. I'll put the link below. Unfortunately, this is their last year in business, which is very sad. How many times do your Masdevallias bloom in the year? Do you get one flowering?
Yes, just the one for me.
Me too, because other growers get multiple bloomings. Yeah.
Okay.
What are we doing wrong?
We're doing something wrong.
Or maybe we're right and they're just abnormal. Anyway, I love Masdevallia. Now,
yes, me too.
How do yours in this condition cope in summer? Because everyone says, oh, Masdevallia, they're such a cool grower. You'll get heat stress immediately.
No, they seem to be fine. I think they're in a very sheltered spot here, and if it gets really hot, I'll just miss them a little bit more.
Me too.
That's it.
I hose mine, and we can get, in Melbourne we can get 40 degrees, I don't know, hot, and it's a dry, like yesterday. Oh my goodness, it was like an oven. And in fact, yesterday, there you go, great case in point, tremendously hot, and all of your Masdevallias look as perky and as green as the day they were born. You've got great new growths coming on these.
Hopefully new flowers coming.
Excellent. And then the Australian Sarcochilus. And there we go. So I've made many Sarcochilus videos. Yep.
Yes,
Ally.
I know. They've got a little bit...
They're a bit touched.
Yeah. Too much sun or too much light.
Or too much water.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Who knows?
Too much something anyway.
Too much something. They are pretty tough though. This is an orchid that will bounce back.
Yeah.
It will come back from the brink. But great to see. And they are so beautiful in spring.
They're right. Reliable one.
And now Ally has here, which is no man's land, the corridor of doom. We dare not venture down there. So what does an orchid do to be sent into the naughty corner?
Yeah, so this is basically the last resort place. If an orchid hasn't flowered for a number of years, or if the leaves start to look really ugly, or if they're just generally unhappy or take too much space, they'll go in this corridor until they start doing something exciting.
I think you're being unfair. Look at that. That's such a healthy looking plant. This is a Zygopetalum. Tell me about Zygopetalums, Ally.
I really like the look of them, but unfortunately they just don't perform well for me at all. I'm doing something wrong.
Well, you, me both, because I have got a few Zygopetalums. One I made a video about, which I got from Facebook Marketplace. It was from an amateur home grower. She literally had it outside under a tree. It's a massive plant, covered in blooms every year.
I'm jealous.
I bought it, repotted it, blah, blah, blah. The plant is healthy and it grows, never a flower.
Yep.
I feel it's getting the right light. I feel it's getting the moisture that zygos need. What are we doing wrong?
I think I need to experiment a little bit more about zygos and just try different things. Maybe I'll bring some indoors. I mean, worth a try, right?
This is the thing. It is. And I think the thing is that if you're consistently doing something and you're not getting results, then something has to change. You've got to change it up. And I think the other thing to remember is that what works for some people just doesn't work for everyone, even in the same city.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, so all your zygos are in the corridor of doom.
We'll probably all end up there, yes.
Well, we'll put this one back. All right, Ally. Now, this again is your north wall, but so in Australia, that's the lightest part of the house. But in fact, this is quite shady is not the right word, but it's not bright here. So what are you growing on this wall?
So this area never gets any kind of direct sun, but it is quite bright. So a lot of the phals are here. We also have some of the Miltoniopsis.
We do, and I know so many people struggle with Miltoniopsis. And look at this gorgeous one in flower, and that one is Andrea West. Look at that beautiful Miltoniopsis. So what's your story with Miltoniopsis? What's your narrative arc with those? Have you always been successful with them?
So I've always loved the look of the flower.
Yeah.
And because I heard that they could take fairly low temperatures, I started growing them outdoors.
Me too. Fatal mistake.
But they didn't really like that. I think there was a few cold patches that were just a little bit too cold for them. Yeah. So I ended up bringing them inside, and they seem a lot happier inside. And now they flower pretty well every year.
Do you get one bloom a year, or do you get two?
One.
So one of mine, I have one called Kelly Spangled Banner, and that is often in continuous bloom. It's based around the maturing of the pseudobulbs. I am going to make mention
Oh.
Humidifier. Now, good on you.
One step too far.
Was it? Because my thing was I just didn't want equipment because I just couldn't be bothered. And it was like another layer of complexity. So what made you get the humidifier?
So again, this was a lockdown purchase, and I think I just got a little carried away with my obsession.
Right.
I don't really think it's needed, to be honest.
No.
Because this area is pretty moist anyway.
Yeah.
But in winter, I do have a wood burner, and it gets a little bit drier in winter.
Right.
So that's when it's a bit more useful.
Excellent. Well, the phals are all looking beautiful, and there is a little flower spike on this one, which is fasciata. We can see that gorgeous flower spike there. So do you have species phals?
Yes, actually most of these are.
Right. Oh, and there's flower spikes on this.
Yeah.
Oh, you do really well with them.
And pallens. We've got a
Oh,
pallens
yes.
there.
Look at that. Can we show him on that one? Pallens. And look at that. Gorgeous flower spike. Fantastic. Now, I do see you've, here we are, Exhibit A, Exhibit B, terracotta and perforated plastic. Where do you sit on the pot fence?
So I'm still a bit in the testing phase.
Yeah.
I actually think the terracotta works really well, and it's also a lot more aesthetically pleasing.
Yes.
So,
and that is entirely my reason, largely. Although my other thing is plastic. I just don't want to use as much plastic in the world anymore.
Exactly. It's ugly and it's not sustainable. So
no.
Now that I know that terracotta works just as well, I think that's the direction that I'll be taking.
And I have started drilling my own terracotta. You haven't seen that video yet, but I'll program that at some point.
That's
but
exciting.
A few viewers have said, drill your own pots, Matthew. So I bought these terracotta pots, and I bought, sorry, we just got to get your files back. And I bought the diamond tip drill bit, and I just drilled holes around them.
And it didn't explode the pot?
Nope. Just keep running water over it. Okay. Watch the video,
I will.
All right, anything else here? So what's on the lower level?
So this is all oncidiums.
Yep.
Then we have some phals that came from the flask.
Ah, right. D flask Phalaenopsis. Wow, they're all looking really great. So you have ventured into the flasking world.
I'm just starting. This is new territory for me, but they seem to be okay and doing all right. So.
And they do say that phals are a great one to begin with because they're just tougher seedlings.
Exactly.
You have a better chance of success. But they are all amazing. How long have these been out of the flask?
About 6 to 8 months-ish.
Right, and they're looking really well established.
Let's hope they flower one day.
Question then, what are you going to do with all these, Al?
I would like to start swapping with other orchid growers.
Right.
That would be ideal.
And do you belong to any clubs or orchid growing?
Not yet, although I may venture down that direction at some point.
Yeah, that's a great place to swap things and find unusual things.
Yep.
All right, well, this looks amazing. I also see you have a vanilla orchid growing up there.
Yes. Do
you have high hopes for being self-sufficient with vanilla?
That's the dream.
Indeed. Welcome to your bathroom, Ally.
Yep.
Can I make one observation? We're sitting on the bath. You clearly don't take baths very often.
Yes. So the great thought when we moved into this house was that we could have baths, and then we realized that we could get we could get cold water, but not hot water.
Right. So it was a plumbing issue, not an orchid growing issue.
Exactly.
So now by default, it's a fantastic orchid environment. So what are you growing in this space?
So these are mostly low light plants. So bulbophyllums, phals, and some pallens.
Right. And are they, I can see some more flasks.
Yeah.
So more Phalaenopsis flasks. So you're clearly on a real journey with Phalaenopsis flasks. And what's this one? This is Mini Mark Holm. Mini Mark Holm. They're looking fabulous.
We'll be able to exchange some once they get to that point.
I don't know if I'll have anything to exchange with you, but anyway, that's looking beautiful. So again, for our viewers, this is north facing, which in Australia, in the southern hemisphere, gets the most light, but it's a bathroom, so it's not a huge window. There's trees behind, so it's very filtered light.
And this actually gets a lot more light in winter when the sun is lower.
Yes, I had that too as well. Let's talk Bulbophyllum, or not.
They're temperamental.
Your thoughts.
So only really had one successful one with Bulbophyllums, which is this one, and this one is the Buckleberry.
Yes, and I had the same success as well. I think at the same time as you. Ally has a great Instagram account, and I will link it below, and we both had flowers on this at the same time. So this is Elizabeth Ann Buckleberry, and I don't know if it's just the easiest to bloom or whether this one is particularly suited to Melbourne's climate.
I think this is the one that grows highest in its natural environment, so it can tolerate colder environments.
Yeah, because a lot of Bulbophyllums do seem to be tropical or warm, hot growers, and I just, I've got a few, but again, my jury's out. But I think Elizabeth Ann Buckleberry is a hybrid between two, and I think Rothschildianum is one of the species ancestors, and that's the high altitude cooler one, I think, from memory. So I also have that species to see. That's outside all year, undercover. Watch this space.
Exactly. That'll be interesting.
Excellent. Well, I think, thank you for showing us your bathroom.
It's good for moisture here, which is the key element.
The sun has come out.
It's a beautiful day.
And we can see that your Vandas are not in direct sun. Ally, thank you so much. Thank you for opening your home and showing us what you're growing.
You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure. I'm a big fan and have been for a while. So
thank you. But I feel you are much more successful with many things than me. Exhibit A being the Vandas. Well, thank you very much. I will look forward to hearing about your continuing adventures. Now, if you have a question about anything that Ally is growing or the conditions that you've seen here, do put them below, and Ally is happy to jump in and answer them if she can. So thank you very much. And I look forward now to further orchid exchanges with you at some point in the future. Thanks, Ally.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ally, for welcoming me in. It's very generous of you to have me in and to share your collection with all of us here. I think it's just really useful to see how other people are growing orchids in similar conditions. Hopefully there'll be something of use there for you. The thing for me is Ally's Vandas. Oh my goodness, those Vandas. Now, I do know where Ally got them from, and I'll put that link below. It's a place here called Collector's Corner in Melbourne. If you're in Melbourne, do go and have a look. They always have amazing mature Vandas in bloom. I always look at them and think, but I might be tempted now, because the only thing is what you do in winter. Ally hangs hers up and she waters them every day, very committed. But it was great to see that she too doesn't do that well with Cattleyas, doesn't do that well with Zygopetalums, but we also have similar successes. So thank you, Ally. It was really great to see your collection, and we will stay in touch and hopefully swap things as all of our deflasking experiments gallop apace. So there we are, plant lovers. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining me. Thank you to Ally for all her time and consideration in letting us into her world and collection. I hope you've enjoyed the video, so do hit subscribe if you want to see what I might be doing next week. It'll probably be back here with me with my little collection struggling along. But until then, take care wherever you are, and I look forward to seeing you next week.